They whispered behind her back, calling her a gold digger the moment she stepped into the billionaire's world. With her simple clothes and humble background, people were quick to judge, assuming she was only after money. But what no one saw was the quiet strength behind her smile, the way she carried not just her own pain, but the weight of a broken family that wasn't even hers. His children didn't trust her. His relatives looked down on her, and the billionaire himself, still grieving from his past, kept his distance. Still, she stayed. Not for wealth, not for status, but for something far deeper. When a sudden tragedy struck the billionaire's home, everything changed. The very people who once mocked her now had to face the truth. Because in that moment of crisis, it wasn't the family, the fortune, or the bodyguards who held things together. Was her. She did something no one expected. Something that would make even the harshest critics rethink everything they believed about her. But what exactly did she do that turned the entire story upside down? And how did she go from being the outsider to the one who saved them all? The real story starts now. Before she met the billionaire, Mia worked 2 jobs just to keep her younger sister in school. She never imagined her life would cross paths with someone like Daniel Hayes, a man known not just for his wealth, but for his tragic past. After losing his wife in a sudden accident, Daniel shut himself off from the world, raising his 3 children behind cold gates and silent halls. When Mia was hired as a part-time tutor for his youngest daughter, people assumed it was just a matter of time before she found her way into his life. And when Daniel started trusting her, even smiling again, the rumors only grew louder. Daniel's family didn't hide their opinions. They believed Mia was after his fortune, and they made sure she felt like an outsider in every room. His teenage daughter barely spoke to her. The staff gossiped behind closed doors. Still, Mia never answered back. She kept showing up quiet, kind, and strong in ways no one understood. But what no one realized was that Mia was watching, listening, learning the cracks beneath the surface of this perfect-looking family. And then came the night when everything fell apart. And Mia was the only one who knew what to do. It started with a late-night phone call. Daniel's company was under investigation, and rumors of fraud and betrayal were spreading fast. Investors were pulling out. Board members were panicking. And the worst part? Someone from inside the house was suspected of leaking private information. The billionaire who once seemed untouchable was suddenly vulnerable, and the people around him began to show their true colors. Mia noticed the shift instantly. The once polite housekeeper avoided eye contact. Daniel's cousin, who managed a portion of the business, grew defensive and short-tempered. Even his eldest daughter, Emma, who had always kept her distance, started sneaking out at odd hours. Tension hung heavy in every hallway. Daniel was losing sleep, his confidence cracking, and no one seemed to have answers. Still, he didn't turn to Mia. Not fully. Not yet, but Mia was piecing it together, quietly. She overheard whispers, caught glances, noticed files disappearing from Daniel's office. She saw how fear turned the family against each other, each pointing fingers, desperate to protect their place. Beneath the luxury, everything was crumbling. And still, no one looked at Mia as anything more than a quiet outsider. Until one evening, she found something in Daniel's study, something that could change everything. But she wasn't sure who she could trust. The document Mia found in Daniel's study wasn't just a clue, it was a map to the truth. Hidden among financial reports was a series of coded emails and offshore transactions pointing directly to someone close. It wasn't a mistake. It was betrayal, carefully planned and slowly unfolding behind Daniel's back. Mia's hands trembled as she read through the files, realizing just how deep the deception ran. The leak wasn't just damaging his business, it was threatening to destroy his entire legacy. But before she could tell Daniel, the locks on the study were changed. Security cameras were redirected. And someone had noticed she'd been inside. From that day on, she wasn't just being ignored, she was being watched. Staff began treating her with cold politeness. Emma's attitude shifted from silence to suspicion, and Daniel grew more distant, buried in emergency board meetings. The mansion, once tense, now felt dangerous. Late one night, Mia's phone buzzed. With a warning from an anonymous number, "You're getting too close. Leave now while you still can." She knew walking away would be safer. But walking away would mean letting them win. She had one shot to expose the truth, one chance to protect Daniel and the children. And time was running out, just when Mia thought. She understood the danger. The second blow came from the one place she least expected, Daniel himself. One morning, without warning, she was called into his private office. His expression was cold, his tone sharp. He laid out copies of the very documents she had found, now labeled as evidence tampering. Someone had turned the narrative against her. They painted her as the intruder, the one planting fake documents to create mistrust inside the family. The timing was too perfect, the setup too clean. Daniel, hurt and confused, asked her a question that cut deeper than any insult ever could. Was any of it real? Mia couldn't answer, not because she was guilty, but because she saw it in his eyes. He already didn't know who to trust anymore. Then came the biggest shock. Security escorted her off the property. She wasn't just a suspect, she was officially removed from their lives. The same people who once whispered about her being a gold digger were now whispering worse. And the real culprit? Still inside the mansion, smiling. Mia stood outside the gates, heart pounding, watching it all slip away. But she wasn't done. They had taken her trust, her place, even her voice. Now she was going to take the truth back. Mia didn't disappear. Instead, she went silent, watching from the outside, gathering what little resources she had. With the help of an old friend who worked in cybersecurity, she traced the anonymous messages, decoded the hidden files, and slowly built a case no one could ignore. The real traitor wasn't just after money, they were selling Daniel's business. Secrets to a rival company in exchange for a stake in the deal. And the person behind it, Daniel's own cousin, who had positioned himself as the family's most trusted advisor. The final blow came during a live board meeting, when Mia burst into the room uninvited. At first, Daniel stood to have her removed. But she spoke quickly, her voice steady, presenting evidence a kind that couldn't be denied. The recordings, the transactions, the timeline. Every piece fell into place. Silence filled the room as Daniel's cousin turned pale, caught before he could slip away. Daniel looked at Mia, really looked at her, and for the first time, saw everything clearly. The one person he doubted was the only one who never gave up on him. Just when it seemed over, the twist came. Mia was offered a share in the company as thanks, but she turned it down. She didn't want the fortune. She just wanted the truth. After everything settled, the mansion no longer felt like a place of secrets, it felt like a home again. Daniel personally apologized to Mia, not just for doubting her, but for letting fear cloud his judgment. His children, especially Emma, who once saw Mia as an outsider, slowly opened their hearts. Emma left a handwritten note on Mia's doorstep that simply said, "Thank you for not giving up on us." That meant more than any reward ever could. Though Daniel offered her a position at the company, Mia chose a quieter path. She returned to her small tutoring work, but this time with confidence and peace. The label of gold digger had turned into something powerful, proof that assumptions are often wrong, and real loyalty reveals itself when things fall apart. As for Daniel, he rebuilt what was lost, not just in business, but in trust. He stayed in touch with Mia, not as a billionaire, but as a man who finally understood the value of someone who stood by him when no one else did. In the end, I didn't need riches to prove her worth. She saved the billionaire's family. With money or power, but with truth, courage, and heart. And that changed everything.